Hello, viewers. I'm SB, and welcome back to Rise of the Golden Idol, where the new Lemurian Phoenix expansion has just released. I'm excited to get back into this. I love this game. I will say, anecdotes, I know, but I have heard from a couple of people that I know personally who played this already that they don't. There's maybe a little bit of negative buzz in the air, I guess is what I'll say. So I'm curious to see how this goes. Prepare for the strange saga of the Lemurian Phoenix, in which ancient prophecies, divine revelations, and royal decrees shape history. It doesn't sound like my favorite shit, I'll say that. It's an interesting way to present it, though. Alright. Part 1. Royal Blood. Celebrations turn sour at Tikor Palace. Goodbye, goodbye. Off we go, driver. A person in a white and green polka dotted. It's hard to tell if it's covering their face or if we're seeing them from the. Well, we're seeing them from the back, definitely, because you see the back of the hand. So I don't know. Their face might be visible from the other side. Maybe. Your king loves you. Don't forget to tune in to 104.9 FM for His Highness's solstice speech on Monday. Okay, the guards are also wearing sort of like polka dotted outfits. The old fart edited out all my best turns of phrase and replaced them with played out cliches. My section's going to sound so pathetic. Ugh, when I'm queen, I'll give the public something to tune in for. Okay, interesting. Oh, give it a rest, sis. You've as much chance of wearing that crown as the sun does of rising in the west. I'm next. Get over it. That does seem like... I would be careful about presenting the situation in that way because you're giving her an obvious solution. Well, look who's dashing off as soon as their section's been recorded. Good riddance, then. More grub for many. You're invited. Dear Mr. Lebop, you are cordially invited to attend the King's renowned summer solstice celebration at Tikor Palace. The festivities will run for 24 hours, commencing at 4 p.m. on Saturday, with traditional dancing in the hall at both sunset and sunrise, and refreshments on the balcony throughout. Naturally, His Highness will be occupied in meetings with his various advisors, fine-tuning and recording the sections of his speech they have each written, ahead of the national radio broadcast. However, his two charming children will be available to represent the family. Sincerely, Tikor Palace. Okay, his various advisors, and of course, his two charming children. So, getting a lot of the king, not a lot of names here. But we might reasonably assume that this person's name is Many Lebop. More grub for many is it's kind of a silly thing to say as a way to give a first name, but I don't know. Maybe that first name is wrong. It feels like you wouldn't say that. It feels like a weird thing to say, like, aha, more soup for Samhain, but like it would be even weirder to say it about anybody else, right? Becca, really, it's now well past my meeting time. Why can't you just let me in? Your Highness, happy summer solstice. I hope you'll enjoy this fine champagne. Okay, outside visitor protocol. Mrs. Shabak will meet you at the outer gates. From there, she will take you through security into the meeting hall. When His Majesty is ready for you, he will call for Mrs. Shabak to let you into the cabinet. When His Majesty is finished with you, he will call for Mrs. Shabak to let you out. She will then escort you either off the palace grounds if you are not attending the celebration, or back to the hall or balcony if you are. So presumably this is our Mrs. Shabak then. Becca Shabak. Please be patient. I am only following the orders His Highness gave me when his last meeting ended. He clearly stated he will tell us when he is ready, and that I am not to disturb him until then. Okay, he's got a lot of meetings scheduled. So, yeah, before we lose it here, Becca Shabak, we think. I don't think we know... So Leva and Zarek are the kids' names. Right, and then the Justice Minister, the Intelligence Director, Prince Zarek, First Sentinel Propaganda Chief. I wonder if we're going to get real names for everybody, or if, like, this guy's going to be identified by his position. Bastards probably spent more money reframing those paintings of his vanity and his predecessors than I'll earn all year. He's got on a loaded... Oh, he's got a loaded rifle with a bayonet attached. That's a weird position for that piece of information, which I thought was going to be a description of his hat. Orders for Tristan Zeldorf. Guard cabinet door throughout solstice celebrations. No one is to enter or leave unless ushered by Mrs. S. If ever you must leave your post. Ensure one of the other guards covers for you. Keep an eye on visitors in the waiting hall. Alright, well. One Tristan Zeldorf. It's weird how many of these people are just holding things that immediately identify them in this way. Like, usually you have to work a little harder for the names. What am I seeing here? The perspective on this is very strange. King Loren Manzek. So is Manzek the family name then? King Lutri Manzek. It would seem so. Alright, is there anything else to identify in here? It doesn't look like it. There's the champagne. And here, unsurprisingly, is a man not breathing. There's been some tea and crumpets. There's an unlocked trap door with a chair on top of it, though. That is a little complicating. Windows locked from the inside. Here's King Orent Manzek. And King Vanto Manzek. Looted. Now the gifts table shows a bronze statuette, a bejeweled ornamental egg, a small vase of flowers, bejeweled ornamental frog, some wine, one of those ancient Lemurian quote-unquote seals, one of those Lemurian data discs, a medium-sized vase of flowers, and a large vase of flowers. Okay, interesting. Somebody disposed of the bloody knife right here. And... cleaned it up with one of the drapes, it looks like. Alright, what is this? Your Highness, here's the section I have prepared for your solstice speech. The day Lemurians shy away from bold decisions, we are finished as a society. That is why the orders I have given recently do not disturb me. Until I tell you I am ready to end our struggle for unity, you must all embrace it. Alright, so... as somebody blanked his noun, somebody killed him with a... somebody killed him with a dagger, it would seem. Like, my understanding of the scene right now, we'll just put in. Killed him with a dagger from a blank. Afterward, the killer... Interesting. Did the killer do anything with the body? They went over to the machine here. Huh. Then to escape, somebody verbed the noun and verbed it for somebody who then verbed the killer. One assumes that this is like let the killer out. something in the line of like the killer rang the bell, or so some kind of signaling method, and then something it for. We could say unlocked the door and opened it for someone who then let the killer out, just grammatically. And you would think that would be the second thing there would be Becca Shabak, right? Unlocked it for Becca Shabak, who then let the killer out. And now is not allowing people in because she knows that he's in there dead. As far as theories go, I don't hate it. Let's see if we can acquire a little bit more certainty here. Dashing off as soon as their section's been recorded. Okay, so the speech is happening on Monday. I'm trying to figure out if do we actually know the date today? Commencing at 4 p.m. on Saturday. Okay, so the big party is before the speech, actually. The speech is... fine-tuning and recording the sections of the speech they've written ahead of the national radio broadcast. So this is during the celebration. The speech hasn't gone out yet. He's in meetings with his various advisors. We're told that he's having 7 meetings. I mean, it is morning, right? We are to take this as morning light. There's not something streaming through the windows, so this is the first sentinel or the propaganda chief. My feeling, he gives a propaganda chief kind of vibe, I guess is what I'll say. Okay, so this here is the security checkpoint. I don't know what the value of this is. I guess this tells us some things about the directions. Okay, hold on. So if that's the security checkpoint and the king's cabinet door is on the west, or is on our right, all these windows here are these windows there. So we're facing south right now, which means that this light is coming in from the east. So yeah, it's morning. I mean, but like the fact that this said evening instead of afternoon kind of doesn't make that a puzzle, because you would expect there would not be sunlight available. You'd expect they would not call the period where sunlight is still streaming through the windows evening, even if it was, sunlight coming from the west. So do we get any sense from this guy of like what his job is? Mr. Lebop. No. Okay. So This is the king, we think, right? And if this is the king, then he's a Manzek. One of the paintings is him. right? This guy says the paintings of his vanity and his predecessors. So Lauren Manzak, Lutri Manzak, there's a tree grown over the, okay, there's a young tree in the background, an older tree there. So actually the tree is at its tallest in this picture. So you might, yeah, you might well be King Lutri. Also, everybody's wearing polka dots, which is, that's something that's happening here. Although it's not the only era in which they wore polka dots. But it's okay. I think we might be looking at a Lutri here. Lutri. And then I'm thinking you're the propaganda minister. And you, I don't know who the fuck you are. Who was supposed to be, what were the rules of this event? His Highness will be occupied in meetings. Traditional dancing in the hall, both sunset and sunrise. Refreshments on the balcony throughout. Naturally, His Highness will be occupied in meetings with his various advisors ahead of the national radio broadcast. His two charming children will be available to represent the family. Who the hell is in the car? Somebody who's leaving. The thing they're wearing is not quite the same pattern as the drapes, but it's similar, certainly. Do we see any, like, obvious location that might have come from? There's this conspicuous yellow tie here that I don't have an explanation for either, which I'm sure is a critical part of something. So they come in through the trapdoor, perform the stabbing, and then leave through the door here. Right? That's the most sensible thing. Killed him with a dagger from a trapdoor is certainly a weird way to put this. It's not wrong, it's just grammatically it feels a little bit strange. So this is going to be Lutri Manzak. As Lutri Manzak drank his tea, he's certainly not sitting in the recording seat. He's just hanging out, having a little bit of tea. Yeah. So as he drank his tea, bad things did occur. So who are we missing from the meeting schedule? The first sentinel, the propaganda chief, the intelligence director, the high guardian, and the justice minister are all... they're all people who were here to meet with him, but he wasn't necessarily killed by somebody he was meeting with, right? He was killed by somebody who snuck up on him between meetings. I mean, I'm assuming. I wouldn't think you would want, like... you wouldn't want the king to be discovered dead immediately after it is public knowledge that you were meeting with him in a closed room. So, feels like it would be a little bit of a misstep on the murderer's part were they to do that. So... if it is the morning and the propaganda chief is trying to get let in, again, just 100% vibes based there. Clearly stated, yeah, the orders His Highness gave me when his last meeting ended. I am feeling a little bit stymied here. There's some important piece of information that I'm not quite putting together. The identity of this person obviously is tremendously important. So we have a couple of positions in the government it could be. We have unused names, but they're just the names of the ancestors, right? If we separate these out a little bit, Zarek Manzak. So Becca Shabak, Zarek Manzak, Leva Manzak. Tristan Zeldorf is a person we know. And then Lutri, Orant, Vanto, and Lauren are the four names of the kings given in that. Yeah, in that bit of art. So we have all of our person names accounted for, unless one of Lutri Manzak's ancestors came back to totally ruin his shit. So we are probably looking at a position here. Which is to say, High Guardian, Justice Minister, Intelligence Director, First Sentinel, Propaganda Chief. Okay. And that guy really could be any of them. So I had first taken... Actually, that's interesting. You know what I had done? I had assumed that this guy was talking about the dude standing inside, but this guy's been standing here for a longer period than that, probably. I like the way that the text doesn't mention it, but the image clearly shows if you're going inside, you are expected to present him with a gift, obviously. Okay, so the number of gifts is something, right? He has received 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 distinct gifts, which is all of his meetings and then some, or some people brought more than one thing. 1975 bottle of, or 1795 bottle of wine. I mean, it's going to be very difficult to link those to anything in particular. All right, you know what? I will be right back. 1 second. Okay, we're back. The interruption there was that Amabel came home and suddenly brought me a delicious lunch. So I return full of meatball sub and also with Amabel in tow.
Whoa!
Wow, Amabel's here. So Amabel, you have some familiarity with the first game. You had expressed interest in being here for this, and
Yeah.
as luck would have it, here you are now for this. So we're all sort of caught up. I walked Amabel through the scene. Here is our events thing that we are to fill in. This is how we end the scenario.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm guessing so far. As Lutri Manzak here drank his tea, somebody came through the trapdoor and killed him with a dagger. Afterwards, the killer the body. Then to escape, somebody, it could be somebody verbed the noun and verbed it for... Okay, so here's what I'm thinking is person unlocked the door, and here, the set of words we have here.
Okay.
Or somebody like, oh, wait, no. Edited the tape and played it for Becca, who then let the killer out, because this strip of yellow that I didn't know what it was, I thought it was maybe like for tying something. I think it's from the tape.
Okay.
Right? So they
Right.
added the tape to splice him saying what's in his speech. She said that he said not to be disturbed.
Yeah, do not disturb
Yeah,
me.
do not disturb me until I tell you I am ready. Right? That's exactly what she said
Yeah.
he said. Yeah. Okay, so they clipped a bit of the tape and played the clipped bit of the tape. Okay, I like that very much, actually. So, edited the tape and played it for Becca,
Back.
who then let the killer out. Let the killer... Oh, sorry. Out is going to be in here. Right? So the core problem here... The core problem here is that we don't know who is responsible, nor do we know exactly what they did to the body. Looted is certainly, I think, a reasonable guess. But we don't... Like, what would he have had?
Well, so when you were taking me through it, I believe it's when you were hovering over the guy that it said looted. When you're hovering over the king that it said...
No, it just says man not breathing. Looted came from here.
Oh, okay.
And I guess like it's worth noting that there are 8 items in total on this table. 8 clickables.
Okay.
But
do you
they don't necessarily all have to be
appointments?
gifts. Yeah, the list of appointments was here. And so it's worth noting that whoever this guy is, his gift is not yet on that table. It's right here.
Right.
So the list of appointments...
Okay, there's 7.
Yeah, the list of appointments has as many as 6 people having met with him already. And everyone is to have brought a gift, as noted on the... noted not in the words, but certainly in the diagrams on the visitor protocol. So yeah, maybe it's like... Maybe some people brought multiple gifts. Maybe the flowers were already here.
I would assume so. Flowers is kind of it's not a gift you bring a
whole vase full of flowers. There's a small vase, a medium vase, and a large vase. And I will say that like the large and the medium at least are sort of like of the same decor. Like I could believe those were both here. This vase is kind of has a different feel to me. But I don't know. That feels pretty loose.
Yeah.
I don't really know what to make of the gifts table. So, I don't know. What do you think? Like, where do we get... Why wipe the dagger off with the drapes? I guess maybe they were getting the blood off of themselves.
Yeah.
Probably when you stab a man to death with a dagger that deep, you probably get a fair amount of blood on your hands. I guess that's probably what we're seeing here.
Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty long cut too.
So the problem here is that we have a couple of considerations.
Mm-hmm.
Becca Shabak let this person out. So I think I said earlier that it would be pretty not smart for a person who is on the schedule to be responsible, because you don't want there being a piece of paper saying that you were the last person in the locked room with the king when he was murdered.
Right.
But Becca had to let them out. So I guess it would have to be someone she was expecting.
Yeah.
And then their plan is just to flee. Thusly, perhaps.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe they stole this from the king. Maybe this is the king's cloak or whatever. And that's where to take, like, that's how they looted the king. Because they got that from somewhere.
Yeah.
How is Lutri dressed in? Okay, so this outfit doesn't really have any relation to.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that makes sense. I think
Yeah.
the killer looted the body, stole the garment that they then wore to trick everybody outside into thinking this is a question of who is it. So if we follow that line of logic, that it had to be somebody Becca expected for her to let them out, then the morning meetings are Prince Zarek, who is definitely not running, right? We know where Prince Zarek is.
And
then the first sentinel and the propaganda chief. So if this is one of the guys, this is the propaganda chief, then we're talking about the first sentinel just by sort of weight of...
Yeah.
That's the only person that Becca would have not been surprised to be letting out of the chamber at that time.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you?
That makes sense to me.
I don't love it from a perspective of it seems like that's going to get your ass caught for sure. This seems like such a dumb plan. But that doesn't mean it's not what happened. People commit murder with bad plans all the time.
Yeah. Those are our words. We have our names here.
So I mean, if we plug First Sentinel into these slots, it's gonna tell us something. Do we feel like we want to be told something?
I don't know. I'm still kind of just gathering.
Okay.
So you play a lot of these games.
Okay, I've played some of these. I mean, certainly as far as the Golden Idol goes, I've played as many of these games as I can.
So what would be your next step?
I think at this point, I'm comfortable putting First Sentinel in here and seeing if the game tells me that I'm an idiot. Okay, something's wrong, but it's probably only one person. So, what do you think? If 2 or fewer slots are incorrect, then we got the Manzek right, because there's 3 Manzeks.
Yeah.
I feel like Many Labop is pretty solid. Am I wrong? I'm not... The thing is, I can't be wrong about when we are, because these two are not both incorrect, right? We have 2 or fewer spaces incorrect. So at least one of these 2 is right.
Well, if he's not the first Sentinel, if he's the someone impersonating, perhaps.
Yeah.
Also, as a sentence, as Lechery Manzek drank his tea, first Sentinel killed him. It'd be like the first Sentinel killed him, right? So it feels like
Amabel. That's a very fucking good point. You're right. The grammar of this does make that seem like it should be a name.
The guard by the door is a sentinel. Is that?
Well, the guard by the door is Triskin Zeldorf.
Okay. He has his.
I'm assuming Sentinel is a like an important ceremonial or political position.
Can we go look at the kids again?
Let's do that.
Snotty, yeah. What do they have to say?
So she's mad about him fucking up the speech.
Okay.
He is reminding his sister that she does not, in fact, get to be queen. And also reminding us that the sun does, in fact, rise in the east so that we can get the morning time window puzzle, even if you didn't already know that somehow.
Okay. Good job.
And then here's many Lebop. Look who's dashing off as soon as their section's been recorded. So this is a piece of information that we haven't really used yet.
Okay. Can you look at Many's whatchamacallit again?
Yeah.
Advisors represent the family. Okay. Okay.
Maybe we're supposed to be figuring out who it is that wrote the section of the speech.
Yeah.
The orders I have given recently do not disturb me. Until I tell you I am ready to end our struggle for unity, you must all embrace it. I mean, it's so hard to know, right? From that.
That sounds like a first sentinel. If a sentinel is a military position or a...
Well, keep in mind this is the king saying this. They write the
Right.
speech, but it's the king
Right.
saying it. So
is it possible that Many is the proper? No, because there are the three morning meetings. One hasn't happened yet, and that's the propaganda minister.
yeah, it's now well past my meeting time. Why can't you just let me in?
Prince Eric is out there.
I mean, it could be Prince Zarek. Right? Grammatically, it could be Prince Zarek.
How many gifts did we count on the table again?
We counted, there are 8 objects on this table that I can click on. But I don't know exactly, like, as far as what's a gift and what was here already.
If we count them as... If we don't count the flowers, then there are 5 gifts.
If we don't count
There
any
are
of the
2.
flowers, that's true.
Then there are 5 gifts, in which case there are...
I wonder if we can make any sense of... So Princess Leva, the High Guardian, the Justice Minister, the Intelligence Director. I'm wondering if we can make sense of which gift was given by whom.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is just a bottle of of champagne, right? Yeah, I hope you'll enjoy this fine champagne. Like, tells us very little, in fact. Okay, so the only other piece of information that we haven't used is this, I guess.
Which means the dagger was not brought in.
Right.
Yeah.
But we kind of know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I still don't really even understand what I'm looking at here in terms of, like, the angle of this. Why is place gift here upside down?
No, I'm so the way I'm looking at it is you pass underneath it to like have stuff scanned and the gifts are placed.
Oh, okay,
We're
okay.
looking down at it.
We're looking down from above at the top of the metal detector. For real, like I told you when I showed you this before we started rolling, to me this was just like looking at abstract shapes. I could not figure out at all what we were seeing. But this bit is the metal detector. We're looking down from this is the top of the metal detector. Okay. It makes a lot more sense now. I would argue that this is not the correct place for this arrow to be, if that's what we're seeing.
Yeah.
I'd put it like here, maybe, but okay, I get it now. So yeah, the gift got moved through. He was helped through by Mrs. Shabak. So like again, if she's not surprised to have let somebody out. The somebody that she let out is either Prince Zarek or the first Sentinel.
Yeah.
That's just kind of got to be the case, right?
Yeah.
If, out of curiosity here,
The dagger from the trapdoor. Can you bring
if
up the map
afterwards the killer looted the body was not correct, like what other verbs do we have? Drank, recorded, opened. I mean, the killer did open the body, but not really afterwards. That was during. Yeah, the only options that really make sense here are moved and looted, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense for the body. It doesn't look to me like the body was. It's hard to tell because like there's this blood trail on the ground, but is it? It's not the guy was stabbed and then moved. It's that the killer stabbed him and then was covered with blood on the way over here.
No, it might have been moved. It might have been moved.
Do you think there'd be a lot more blood than that? Right?
But if he was recording at the thing,
Yeah.
but if he was drinking his tea, then he wasn't.
Well, the tea could be a red herring, right? It could be somebody stabbed him while he was doing the thing and then set up this scene to draw attention away from the trapdoor.
So, can you go back to the map in the other room for me, please?
Yeah, this one?
Yeah. Okay, so there's the King's Cabinet, hall, balcony. The balcony's out. Is that what they're on out there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the balcony is where the refreshments are being served throughout.
Okay, can you go back to the prince and does the prince have anything on him? I'm sorry, I have a lot of object permanence problems.
It's okay, I do too. So we can't see his hands or anything. We get this. And he certainly seems eager to be king.
Yeah.
But who is this? Like, what is this whole situation?
Yeah.
This is just someone leaving? Or...
Well, I mean, I
'Cause
feel
if-
like
'cause
Manny
if the
is
prince-
commenting on him.
If Zarek is the one who killed him, then what the fuck is happening here? Right, is this just somebody who is leaving the event? And they're like, in a way that's totally unrelated to the thing that's happening? Dashing off as soon as their section's been recorded. I mean, he is looking at them. But like, I took that to mean dashing off, like leaving the balcony party part, but it's super weird that like just some random minister would be getting this treatment just because they were leaving the party, and you know, like to be escorted out on the top of a car so that the citizens can cheer for you. It seems very odd to me. So yeah, she will escort you off the palace grounds if you are not attending the celebration, or back to the hall or balcony if you are. So here's the problem with this.
Yeah.
Even with everything that we've sort of rethought here, this still only makes sense to me as the first Sentinel. And this still only makes sense to me as like I don't. None of this information seems any less right to me than it did before. Right?
Yeah, but one of them is obviously wrong.
Yeah. I mean, that is undeniably Tristan Zeldorf. There's no reason for us to think that that is not Tristan Zeldorf. All right, I do think recorded his speech. I do think I'm pretty sold on it was the prince due to
Correct.
the grammar.
Yeah.
I think you've made a compelling point.
Afterwards, he moved the body.
Move the body. That's just hard wrong. That's super wrong.
Okay.
And that makes sense because it would like this information is going to give us something. She says when I'm queen, like she thinks she's going to be.
Yeah.
And she's mad about the speech, like she's angry. But that's not murder motive, right? That's just everyday.
Yeah.
I'm definitely feeling like I'm having trouble connecting the pieces here.
Do you feel like there are a lot of cliches in that speech segment?
I don't. That's what I was looking at to see if like this is the part she was talking about, but I wouldn't think so because the person whose part this is the person who's just left, right?
Right.
If we're taking Manny Labop at his word. So we wouldn't expect that to be her necessarily. I don't know. It almost feels to me like we're missing a scene somewhere.
Yeah. We have all the words and spots.
Yeah. Yeah, it does seem like we have seen everything that there is to see. It is a little weird that the trapdoor is unlocked because it could have been locked, right? After they came through it, they could have locked it.
Can we look at the tea table? I'm sorry. It seems like a random thing.
Super,
just tea and crumpets.
Yeah.
Okay.
We cannot look at it with any detail, unfortunately. So if the trapdoor is unlocked, are they meant to have escaped through the trapdoor? That doesn't really make sense, though.
Can you bring up the event thing again?
Yes.
And what are our words? Because he then lit the killer out.
Yeah. I don't know. I really do feel like I am missing something here.
Yeah.
All right. What exactly did she say? He clearly stated he will tell us when. Okay, give me when his last meeting ended. He clearly stated he will tell us when he is ready. That I'm not to disturb him until then. And given the protocol, when his last meeting ended, she would have been expecting to escort someone out of the place. Right?
Yeah.
So for that reason, like, the killer couldn't have. It can't be that his last meeting went okay, and then the killer snuck in and did the thing because the tape
Is what's telling her, yeah.
yeah, the tape is what's telling her not to disturb him. Yeah, I'm a little flummoxed here.
Can we look at the painting of him again, please?
Yeah. This one?
Okay, yeah, he's just holding a flower.
Yeah, all of them look pretty similar physically. You've got that tree in the background, which I took to be the indicator of date.
Yeah, no, that's a smart. I think you're right there.
I don't know if we're supposed to be drawing more from like the clothing or anything. You know? He does seem to like polka dots. So, you know, all this stuff being polka dotted, like that could be a hint that we're in the right era there. Because, you know, it's not impossible that the thing that's wrong here is Lutri.
Yeah.
We can, of course, do the logical deduction thing of swapping something and seeing how this changes.
Propaganda Man Zach. Is that his name? Let's find out.
They call him Johnny Props.
So, I mean, I do think that guy is the first Sentinel. It might be that and I don't see another name that we don't.
Yeah. Yeah, like, judging by the rules of the game, it almost does feel like this is the most likely thing to be wrong.
Okay, so if we change it from Lutri to Propaganda Man Zach.
But, like, it's gotta be... right? It's gotta be right. What else in these pictures is telling you what era it is, aside from the manner of dress?
That tree's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's
so
not
here
here
it's like up to his shoulders. And here it's above his head.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think the guy in the suit is the penultimate picture. So this game takes place in like the late 1970s or early 1980s, depending on which case you're in, or at least it has so far. Okay. And I mean, you can see all the modern styles of dress and whatnot. So.
Yeah.
Because you had not had familiarity with this one, but you did have familiarity with the first one, which did take place, 200 years prior.
I helped your mom with 2 cases in the first one.
Yeah,
is my experience.
Yeah, the fact that the trapdoor is unlocked is weird because it could be locked if they had just used it to enter. It would only need to be unlocked if they also used it to exit, right?
The thing is, if they were using it to exit, if they're using the door to exit, she would have seen the dead king. Right? Or it would have been a risk anyway.
Maybe. This is what moving the body is about, is so that when she lets whoever it is out, the king is facing away from her.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
All right. I'm going to start using the mechanisms of the game a little bit, the mechanisms of the interface. Some people get real mad when you do this, but
Propaganda Menzak, is that his name?
Changing that did not change how many things were incorrect.
Well,
so that would suggest that this is in fact the wrong slot. Because if anything else is wrong, it's going to be both slots wrong, right? And so that would, if this had been correct, changing it to propaganda would have made there be 3 wrong slots. So that tree is a trick? Or I'm wrong about something here. What do you think, sweetie? So see here, he has this like part of a flower, like wand or scepter thing, and then he's got another one that is floral for sure. He's holding a sword, and this guy is dressed like a businessman, but definitely not a 1980s style.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. I mean, let's try Orient Man, Zach. I feel like you had it right the first time with the tree thing, but if it's
well, there's other options here that could explain. So yeah, like I had Lutri. Changing that doesn't change the number of slots that were incorrect. So if this is correct, then only 1 slot was wrong somewhere else, which would be interesting. What did I get? Did I not get people's names right? Mrs. Shabak, right? Yeah, Mrs. Shabak, and he calls her Becca.
That's correct.
It seems right.
Yeah.
Triskin Zeldorf is what we've given this fellow. Meni Labop.
Seems pretty straightforward. Yeah.
Yeah. Prince Zarek and Princess Liva are on the thing here. And those are definitely the prince and the princess.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Are they gonna... Amabel?
What?
He's given on this piece of paper as the propaganda chief, not the propaganda minister. That's what the problem was.
Oh no. Okay. I'm sorry.
If you're going to try to tell me he is not...
That.
If you're going to try... You should have. I should have. And that's, listen, I'm not saying it's not our fault at all. But if you're going to try to tell me that guy's not also a propaganda minister, you and I are going to have a physical fight about it. I will throw hands with the developer of this game. Minister should work there. Okay. Here's some bad news. That doesn't affect this at all. I mean, it means we got our timing right. The first Sentinel was the last person.
Do you want to try first Sentinel in there? I know it doesn't work for grammar, but we had different.
Well, this was my first thought was that it would be.
Yeah.
Sorry, that part's fine. My first thought had been that it would be the first Sentinel and then he would dash off, right? Because it makes a lot of sense. But you noted very correctly that this does not make sense grammatically. However, fixing that did change the number of incorrect. So I don't like that. I'm going to go so far as to say that this is wrong. Like, it shouldn't. Okay.
Okay, what's our list of words again? All right.
She doesn't just let the killer out, right? She escorts the killer out. But unfortunately, I don't think that that's like... French Sentinel killed him.
The killer out. She had like a little theme for him.
I will say I'm not a huge fan of first Sentinel killed him with a dagger from a trap door as like a grammar issue. But if they're accepting first Sentinel with no article, I would say that's a much larger grammar issue than dagger from a trapdoor being weird. Although, I
Yeah.
will say, when you click on this guy here, it says the man is holding a loaded rifle with a bayonet attached.
Yeah.
Killed him with a dagger from a bayonet or something like that, almost, or killed him with a bayonet from a rifle? Almost
That's
makes more
not-
sense. That's not a bayonet, though.
It's not a bayonet. No.
And it is bloody.
Now it said looted on the table. Why does it say looted on it? Like, how do we know?
Well, it's because it's giving you an option, right? Like, it could be that somebody stole a gift, but if anything, there are too many gifts here. Oh?
Is the dagger from that statue? Are they the same color?
Amabel. Yes.
The scale's a little funky.
Well, it's because it's not a dagger in the statue, it's a sword in the statue, right? But that's actually a very good point. He did do this from a trapdoor, but I do believe you're correct. That dagger is from that statuette. So there's a problem that this game has had way more than the first game, where like you'll put in a thing and it's right, but the game, it's not quite what the game was looking for, and they haven't designed the grammar of the sentence and the word set and the scenario carefully enough to remove all the possible ambiguities. And so you put in something that's right and it doesn't mark it correct because it's not.
Well, the thing is, if
So,
it was
like-
after the first Sentinels meeting, he didn't use the trapdoor at all. The trapdoor's just there as a red herring.
Yeah, that's true. But like this like grammatically, this is a case of what I'm talking about. Like in the first game, I feel like they would have either had there be a direct article, the article here,
Yeah.
or they would have redesigned the scenario such that the sentence could be stated ambiguously. But here, they just wrote the sentence wrong. Like, first Sentinel is a name so that they could mislead you with the grammar. And
Yeah.
I do think that actually sucks a lot. Because the grammar of the sentence is part of the clue structure that we're given. Basically, I think you were 100% right that this can't be First Sentinel, and the fact that it is anyway is kind of annoying to me.
Yeah.
Even though it was my guess that it was the First Sentinel. All right, you've solved the scenario. The First Sentinel was able to get a dagger past security because it formed part of his gift for the king. After killing the royal and moving the body, the First Sentinel hastily mopped up most of the blood with a curtain. He then edited the recording of the king. Boy, that doesn't make sense either. If you stab a guy like that and then you move his body, the amount of blood that is going to be all over the floor is way too much for it to have been mopped up with a curtain that had only that much blood on it, right? Like,
What if he kept the dagger in the king, so there wasn't much
the whole
blood
time he
coming
was
out?
moving it over.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, that would probably help. Maybe you're onto something there. He then edited the recording the king was reading. So yeah, we are finished. Do not disturb me until I tell you I'm ready. On hearing this over the speaker system, the usher escorted the killer out without suspecting anything, even though this is an insane way to kill somebody because you have convicted yourself, like, incredibly obviously. But like I said, sometimes people kill each other with bad plans. That's just real life. So, diplomatic security pouch. This is from the ASH Intelligence Agency, Office of Research and Reports. Monitoring Lemurian technological progress, confidential. Background. Around 800 BC, High Guardian Trifel Ozul ordered the burning down of universities and libraries throughout Lemuria. His goal was to restrain technological advancement, which had spiraled out of control with something that's pretty long. That's a pretty long half of a sentence there. At the same time, the Lemurian Empire's various territories united under the current flag. To reflect this, they also adopted the following national motto: "After the inferno, only one shall rise, bearing the mark of the universe." That's their national motto. Because of that information lost during this period, the modern population is largely ignorant of this history. Many believe the motto to be an ancient spiritual prophecy. Interesting. And so that will unlock the second case, which is where we'll pick it up next time. That's going to be it for us for today, though. So, Amabel, a piece of information that the viewers had that you did not have is that I have a couple of people with whom I am acquainted on the internet who played through this before I got to it, told me that they don't think it was very good. Had a much lower opinion of this DLC than the previous ones, and they didn't want to tell me anything more specific than that, spoilers, because they knew I was going to play it, but I might maybe have some idea of what their problems are, starting with that solution there. Anyway, when you come back next time, we're taking on this second case, and we'll see you then.